life, your 2019 Bassmaster Classic champion, Ott Defoe.
How are y'all doing? Thank you, Bill. That's one of the best parts about the Bass University, at least on my end, is always getting introduced by Bill Dakota. So no, that's always good. Can y'all hear me? Okay. Nope. You got nothing? Let me try that button again. Hey, there it is. I can hear myself now, so I think it's working. So, all right. No, really glad to be here. Be down here in Gadsden, Alabama. This is an area where I used to spend a lot of time as a kid, right up here at Weiss Lake, and used to have a camper down there. We'd come down here 3 or 4 times a year and fished Weiss a lot. Never really fished Neely Henry as much, but really grew up fishing a lot down here in this area. When I first started fishing BFLs, this was actually the division I would come to fish was that choo-choo division. They'd have a couple tournaments up there where I live, but I really liked fishing your all's lakes better than I like fishing our own. These lakes down here, you can about always fish shallow. The water's usually dirty. I really enjoyed coming down here and fishing a lot of these places. That Coosa River is a fun place. Something we don't have a lot of there at home with those big spots. We've got some Kentuckys, but they're not like your all's Coosa spots by any means. So a lot of fun. This seminar and kind of what I want to talk about, and what I want to go through on this is kind of 2-part. A little bit of the bait styles and kind of really breaking that part down, but also fishing during that pre-spawn time of the year. I want to cover as much of both of those as I can. It is my favorite time of the year to fish. Early in the year, I like that. That's when historically I've had a lot of success, even prior to the Classic. I mean, all the way back to FLW days, local tournaments at home. I've always felt like that early in the year, not winter time anymore, but before the fish have spawned is when I really feel like I've got a good grip of what those fish are doing, where they're going, how they're changing, kind of how all that works. So I want to go through that, and then it's 2 of my favorite bait styles for that time of the year, and some of the subtle differences, some of the obvious differences, between the 2 of them. As regular, whether that's a regular crankbait or a lipless crankbait. Who just by a show of hands, and I feel like it should be everybody in the room, but I just want to see, has everybody in here caught fish on a rattle trap or a lipless crankbait, red eye shad? Okay, and then probably everybody has fished a standard crankbait, right? By show of hands is there as well too. So I mean, those are 2 of the easiest baits, to fish. I mean, when you start fishing, you can put that in somebody's hand. You tell them what I do with it. You throw it out and you reel it back. I mean, that's one of the best parts about both of those baits that you do. They're a really simple bait to fish, but there's a lot of other subtle differences, and different things that each one of them does that makes them unique for different situations. We'll start with the lipless bait side of it. To me, the single biggest difference between a lipless crankbait and a standard crankbait is that basically all lipless crankbaits sink. The vast majority of standard crankbaits float. I mean, that sounds like the very basic principles, and you're like, why did I pay money to come to this class to hear you tell me that? But I mean, that's something that you just have to know about the difference in those baits, but it's how you apply that to actually use it that's going to make a big difference in your fishing. The fact that a lipless bait does sink, it just allows you to give those fish a different presentation. When I stop this bait, it's going to go back to the bottom. When I pause a DT4 or a DT6, that bait's actually going to rise. And that in itself is a total different triggering mechanism for bass. Different times throughout the year, especially in the cooler water seasons, I've seen it with a suspending jerk bait. I've seen it with these bait styles as well, that bait floating versus that bait sinking, that can just in itself be the effect as to why you get a bite over the other one. Now here's the flip side of that. I can't tell you exactly when that always is, and that this one is concrete on this day, this kind of water temperature, these kind of conditions, this is the one that you need to go to. That's the part of it I can't tell you. I don't understand. I don't know that yet. I'm still trying to learn that. But there's no question there are times when pausing that bait and it actually sinking will get a strike versus pausing the bait and the bait rising. And like I said, I've seen that with a jerk bait as well as crankbaits. And it's really just kind of playing with both of them. You know, there'll be times where you see that lipless bait is just more effective side by side to a very similar fishing. You know, whether that's a flat-sided bait or whatever it may be, that those baits fished side by side are going to be more effective. You know, I'm going to go to that lipless because of that reason. I feel like more often though, and some of those, I'm not going to say the very coldest water temperature, because I'll fish like a shad wrap and, you know, some of those style baits.
It's Mike Iaconelli. This is Bass U TV.
Here's what's awesome about Bass U TV.
You get the top instructors.
Real tools that help you catch more fish consistently.
And that's why you want to check out Bass U TV.
Join the Bass U family.
Welcome to Bass U TV.